Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for August 13th. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and I am here today to update you on everything that happened yesterday on the Big Brother 25 live feeds. Wasn't a whole lot that happened yesterday on the Big Brother 25 live feeds. I can tell you right away that the feeds went down for the veto competition at around 2 o'clock-ish Big Brother time. As of right now, they are still down. Like 16 hours later, something like that? So, yeah. We have some stuff to talk about from prior to the feeds going down, but we do not yet have a veto winner. Of course, it was day 11 in the house. But here to talk with me about everything that we do have to talk about is Kirsten. How you doing, Kirsten?
I'm doing great, Taran. Do I wish we had feeds yesterday? Yes, obviously. I wish we had answers. But I feel like if we looked at the history of me on live feed updates, normally something horrible happens that we then have to spend a long time unpacking. So I'm grateful that, as far as we know, nothing horrible happened. Though I am worried that maybe something so horrible happened that they had to keep the feeds off. So
It might just be
we'll
that
find
we
out.
haven't learned about the horrible thing yet because the feeds are
Yeah.
still down.
Yeah, that is the fear in the back of my brain. But I will not have to be the one to unpack it. So at least that's like a small thing. I don't know. I'm trying to practice being grateful these days.
There you go.
It's not going
Uh,
great.
Well, I did have some requests about the graphic. I'm just going to pull up the graph. I made some small alterations to this graphic
Oh
here.
no.
Uh,
Not redacted.
if you're watching the video, some small alterations to the graphic in case you're looking to follow along at home. Um,
Top
just
notch
some
work.
small changes.
Graphic design is Karen's passion.
Let's talk about what happened yesterday here on the Big Brother 25 live feeds. Of course, as you can see on the graphic, the HOH is Hisam, and he decided to nominate Riley and Cameron for eviction, with Riley as the target, Cameron as the backup target, and then Matt as a backup replacement nominee that would theoretically be a pawn if one of them were to come down off the block. That was basically the plan there. So here in the morning, we are going to, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday, the feeds went down, which feels like usually that would be the veto draw. But what really happened is that Jag ended up choosing somebody to send off to the nether region once again. And the person he chose was Bowie, which made many people make jokes about the fact that that changes nothing for their feed viewing experience.
And for the people in the house, I feel like it really didn't change a lot for anybody. Now, who will tell them when something comes up on the TV screen in the living room? That's the biggest change for everybody involved. I mean, maybe
Yes.
that's why the feeds are down. Bowie wasn't there to say something came up.
Mm-hmm.
Never know.
I believe what this seems to do is it prevents Bowie from playing in the veto competition. Bowie was absent for the veto draw and therefore could not play in the competition. I do not quite know if it means that she is safe from a renomination, but it doesn't seem like it. But I'm not sure.
I feel like the trend in my mind is that you go to the nether region, it's not good for you, but you could do something good for the next person, maybe. But again, who could know? Not me, and I hate it. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll find out more eventually, maybe like a few weeks from now after various cliffhangers. Um,
Or it will disappear, and we will never know.
maybe. So we eventually do get the veto draw, and Matt, America, and Blue are picked to play in the veto. Hisam pulled Matt's chip, which meant that when Riley pulled house guest choice, Matt was already chosen, and she chose to pick Blue to play in the veto because Blue had previously promised that she would use the veto on Riley if given the option.
And
Um,
Blue's good at different things.
'Cause she's good at different things, exactly. Uh, this is all kind of important, or at least it seems to be based on how much we have right now, because, again, Blue had promised Riley she would use the veto on her, but then she had that conversation with Jared that we talked about yesterday, where he said that he would not use the veto on Riley and was trying to convince her to do the same. She initially was saying, "No, I would," but eventually seemed to be convinced not to, and that's when she talked about how I did miss you yesterday. And so, since she made the promise, she's kind of gone back on the idea of using the veto on Riley. Didn't tell Riley about it though, so Riley
No.
chooses her to play in the veto. But even then, she probably would have chosen Matt if he hadn't already been drawn. All of this, again, eventually becomes kind of important. So Riley says, "Yes, this is a great draw for me. Matt, America, and Blue are 3 people in my alliance, and hopefully they will all use the veto on me." When she goes to ask Blue about it, Blue is like, "Yeah, about that. Um, we'll have a conversation about it. It'll be a conversation that we have."
I love every single year, week after week after week, between the veto draw and the veto competition, these people have the most dumbass conversations that they absolutely have no need to have when they could just be like, "Yeah, I'd use it." And then let's leave the betrayal for after the veto ceremony.
Mhm.
Like, what are you doing? You're doing too much.
Yeah, fair, you know? America pretty much goes right to Hisam and says, "Yeah, I don't want to use the veto, right? Like, you don't want me to use the veto?" He's like,
Mhm.
"No." He's like, "Yeah, I'm not going to use the veto." So two people immediately already saying probably not going to use the veto there. Blue talks to Jag about it. She says, "Listen, I don't think I should take Riley down. I think I should keep nominations the same. Because look, we have the votes to keep Riley anyway. So why would I piss off Hisam unnecessarily? Remember, they think they have the votes because they think that all of their alliance, including Jared, plus Surie and Felicia, would mean that they have the votes to keep Riley. Do they have those
Oh
votes?
no.
Not unless Surie, Jared, and well, basically Surie and Jared decide that they do.
I mean,
Um,
not unless the professors decide to change who they're voting for. Then they'll have the
which
votes.
which would I think have to come from Surie at this point.
Yes. If Suri decides to truly push and gets her way, which I feel like if she pushes, she is likely to get her way, but I don't know if she will.
Exactly. The question has been, will she bother to push, especially when Jared is very adamant that Riley needs to be the one to leave, and continues to be so, has been for like 5 days at least. Um, So, uh, Jag had just the night before been talking about like, let's just go for it, save Riley, whatever. It seems to be convinced by Blue that she is making the right call. He ultimately agrees that she should not use the veto. He says, well, at first he says, listen, so are you just going to throw it then? Because that's, you know, the obvious answer. And she says, oh no, I want a gun for it. I want to win it and then not use it so I can win some trust with Hisam. And Jag, instead of doing what Kirsten just did, which is, oh my God, put her head in her hands, was like, oh, that's brilliant. That's a great idea.
Just yes, let's win trust from the person that we are not working with who like yeah, didn't put us on the block to start, but isn't really working. Like even when Hisam is talking to Jeg and I was like, I don't want us to be gunning against each other. He's not actively trying to really work with you. So this is just what happens, every year when a small group decides the approval of the larger group is worth so much, when in reality, the structure of the game is such that if you as a minority get some sort of power, you need to use that power to try and move forward, not appease the current person in charge. I did just want to say as well, I think we're gonna get a situation here with Hisam as the second HOH, much like the second HOH in BB23, where the first HOH doesn't solidify power or create like a good structure, and then the second HOH gets to like really set the tone for how things are gonna go. So it's Hisam's world, and we're all just living in it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we all saw how much trust was built when Hisam won the veto last week and decided not to use it, right? They all really wanted to work with Hisam, and none of them wanted to target him last week. That was right. That not a single one of them were looking to. All of them were looking to target Hisam last week, despite winning the veto and not using it like he was told to. Nobody wins the game by not using the veto. Nobody wins the game by using the veto usually either, but you don't get brownie points for not using the veto on your ally. If anything, it just makes people feel like you're not a very good ally.
Yeah. Oh, you're not trustworthy at all. Like it's giving Ryan BB Can 6 HOH,
Yes. Now, listen, there are obviously examples where it makes sense to not use the veto. For instance, basically, you should be putting the HOH in a position where they need to threaten you. Hey, if you use that veto, I'm going to put up Jag, and then Jag will go home. And how will you feel about that? Oh, crap. I guess I shouldn't use the veto, except Jag is safe this week. So that's not really a possibility. He could threaten America, and then she could play like America being threatened is bad. But either way, just to be like, yeah, I did promise I'd use the veto on you, but actually, I feel like I want to win some trust with the HOH who's targeting me.
I want to people please to Hisam rather than help the person I've been working with from the beginning. It's just logical, normal things.
Yeah. So Izzy's going to talk with Jared, and she lets Jared know because she had just had a conversation with Corey where they were talking about Riley versus Cameron, and he was kind of feeling like, it seems like people are going for Cameron, right? Like Cameron's the one that's going to go. And so she tells Jared that Corey seems to want Riley to stay, which worries her a little bit, but she is also concerned about Cameron and that like Cameron might put her up. And Jared says, oh, no. Corey wants Riley out. She's like, what? That not according to the conversation I just had with him. He's like, no, you don't understand. If I go talk to him now, he'll tell me that he wants Riley out. Believe me. And she's like, okay.
And that definitely means he wants Riley out. And it is not concerning that he's telling them both different things.
She says another concerning thing about Cameron is that he's been talking about the traitors. And that's not very good. And he goes, oh, let me tell you, Cameron has a theory that everyone in the cast is related to like someone famous, like it's influencers or like Survivor players or whatever, right? And he thinks that Felicia is related to Denzel Washington. And Izzy's face was.
You know what? If you want to believe that this is some sort of claim to fame type thing, I wouldn't be surprised if Big Brother chose to like have people with more like linkages to other groups outside. What the hell does Denzel Washington's family have to do with Big Brother?
What? Listen, that there's a family pair in the house. There's another related to Survivor player in the house. He's onto something, just not the ones that actually exist.
And you know what? That's so beautiful because it goes to show that no matter what Big Brother does with casting, the house guests are going to have the same cracked theories every year. And I love to see it, you know? I am torn between wanting Cameron to disappear forever and wanting so desperately to hear his next theory.
Yeah. Izzy thinks it's hilarious. She says, "Oh, does Moms know yet?" And he says, "Oh no," and she says, "Oh, I can't wait for her to find out. Oh my god."
Well, thankfully, Izzy gets to be there when she finds out.
Jared says he wants Jag, Cameron, Hisam, and Corey all out. Those are his targets right now. And Izzy says, "Oh, but Blue too, though. I mean, Blue needs to go." And he's like, "Yeah, Blue also. Blue also needs to go." And so I'm still just trying to make heads or tails out of Jared's strategy.
Yeah, it's so strange, and I want to see, like, a long sit down between Surie and Jared where she just kinda, like, gets her hands in there and rearranges everything and just, like, makes it make sense because I feel like he needs to be collected. He's just so messy. And I get that it's hard because I think going in with a secret family member is like along the lines of like when people lie about their jobs, except like he has to lie in this situation. And it just creates that barrier of not being able to say things. But then he keeps talking about his home and family life, anyways. So he's not actually facing the barrier. And then he just talks in circles, like what I just did. It's not good.
Yeah, it kind of feels like because of a lot of Surie's work. Like if you look at Jared versus Surie, like Surie has done all of the work for herself. Jared did bring the information about the other side to her, but she was already very good with that other side. Like in terms of her being good with everyone trusting her, that's work that she's done. Jared
Mhm.
has done very little to help her with that. Whereas, Jared's inclusion in the professor side of things was very much aided by Surie. He probably would not have been able to get into that side if not for Surie. And it does kind of feel like because Surie has been able to help him with both sides and given him that
Mhm.
space of safety, he hasn't been able to like learn organically, like what not to do, what's dangerous and might get him in trouble because nothing gets him in trouble because Surie's kind of just there to mend
And
the
this is the
wounds.
thing. He should kick his feet up. He should just enjoy his time in the house, be good socially with everyone, carry the information he receives back to Surie, and let Surie work. Because Surie's gonna set them both up for success. It's not like Surie is sitting here like, haha, time to get Jared out. Like, not, at least not yet, right? And if he just sits back and relaxes and brings her useful information, she'll be way less likely to consider that moving forward.
Yeah. So Corey's going to talk to Jared after this, and Corey tells Jared that he feels like a lot of people want Cameron out. And Jared says, "No, no, no, they want Riley out." And Corey's like, "Oh, well, I mean, I know the 8 are at least supporting Riley." And Jared says, "No, they're not. It's just Jag and Matt. That's all. Those are the only two. It's just them. Nobody else is supporting Riley. So Riley's leaving." And Corey's like, "Okay."
Riley's leaving pre veto, pre anything happening, period. She's gone.
She's gone. Surie talks to Izzy briefly before they have a conversation with Hisam. And I really enjoyed this interaction. You can just like I feel like Surie's biggest challenge in the game is like maintaining her patience with Izzy. And this is a perfect example of this where you can tell that like it's it's grating a little bit. Uh
Yeah, so I mean, Saria is amazing at taking unhinged people under her wing and kind of settling things down, but Izzy is a lot to handle. And I think Izzy also is part of like distracting her from what she needs to do with Jared as well, because she has to spend so much time with Izzy.
so much time, and I feel like there's some undertones of that in this interaction. So Izzy is telling Surie, hey, I talked to Corey. He seems to want Riley to stay. And Surie's like, oh, does he? That's interesting. Well, I mean, I keep trying to talk to him, but every time I do, Jag shows up. Oh, I know. I'm sorry. And I didn't mean to. No, I said, not you. I said Jag. No. I know. Then why are you sorry? Because I want everyone to have their moment with people. And so it has nothing to do with you.
It's
It's
not your
Jag.
fault.
Okay. Yeah.
I can't. The patience. Surie has the patience of a saint. I'm sorry. Like I don't know how she's now adopted a child she didn't want and is forced to maintain the connection.
I think she knows that she smothers Surie, and so instinctually, when Surie mentions that she doesn't have time alone with somebody, she's like, "Yeah, that's my fault." And then even when she was like, "No, it was Jag that did it," she's like, "Yeah, but I know what you mean."
Yeah, and yet she can't stay away. She can't stop herself.
So Hisam joins them. They talk about what might happen with the veto, and what the plans would be. Now, as we talked about, Hisam's plan was Riley's the target, Cameron the backup target. However, after his conversation with Cameron, where Cameron was very willing to be the pawn and has continued to seemingly be willing to be the pawn, Hisam has been convinced he's playing ball. He's tested Cameron by putting him on the block, using him as a pawn, and he's proved himself by being so willing. So he doesn't want Cameron to go. So, if Riley wins the veto, we have to put someone else up. I think it has to be Matt. I don't want to put Matt up, but if I put Matt up, I think we have to vote Matt out. And Surie's like, oh, but what about Cameron? We got to prove to Cameron that we're on his side, that he can trust us. So we would have to send Matt out, which sucks because I don't want to send Matt out, but I think we have to.
It's just so wild how they can't just vote Cameron out in that situation where Cameron will be gone from the game and it won't matter if he can trust them or not.
He's a trustworthy guy, that Cameron.
And I love Riley. Good God Almighty. And I'm weird about the way that I feel because she.
It's when he says he's worried about the way he feels. It sounds so much like he's saying I'm weird about the way I feel.
I think that is
which
what he
the
said. I think he
truth.
says I'm weird about it.
No, I'm pretty sure he's saying worried, but
Hold on,
it
let's
sounds
listen
like
again.
weird. No.
And I love Riley. Good God Almighty. And I'm weird about the way that I feel because.
Oh,
I'm weird about the way that I feel. I think that's what he's saying.
And he is weird about the way that he feels. And it's so strange and odd, and he's not okay, like it did not take long in the Big Brother house for him to be just cracked open and showing so much bizarre behavior. I don't know.
Yeah.
I try to switch off the feeds if I see
Cameron. They talk about, okay, well, what happens if Cameron wins the veto? Hisam says, oh, then I would put Corey up and basically test him the same way that we're testing Cameron.
It's a test.
So, yes, but we'd still send Riley out.
I mean, to me, it makes more sense in that situation to put up Corey anyways, because I am a firm believer that you should always put up two people where if either of them go, your life is fine. And he doesn't, he's not targeting Corey this week, but he doesn't care if Corey lives or dies. So he doesn't care if he's in the game or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so Hisam says, we can't have Matt and Riley in the house together, so one of them has to go. He really doesn't want to send Matt out, but that's just the way that things are. In the meantime, downstairs, Cameron is talking to Red. Red had just talked to Corey. Red says, listen, my side is a little worried about how close I am to you. Cameron says, nah, it doesn't matter. It's us, final two. We're locked in. And he says, listen, at some point, we're going to have to topple the king and the queen. Okay? Hisam and Izzy, they've got to go. While Hisam
Yeah,
is
the
upstairs.
queen of the season, Izzy.
Yeah, you know. Hisam is upstairs talking about how Cameron needs to stay because he's loyal. And in the meantime, Cameron is downstairs talking about how Hisam needs to go. To Red. They talk about the veto. Red is concerned that Matt will use the veto on Riley. But Cameron says to Red, oh, no, don't worry. I've been talking to Matt, and I'm pretty sure I've convinced him to not use the veto. So this is also kind of important a little bit here. That Cameron feels like he's convinced Matt to not use the veto. He hasn't.
No.
But it's Cameron. So Red goes and
Matt
talks to
has been
Hisam.
told not to use the veto by numerous
He has been told. Yes. So Red goes and talks to Hisam, and they talk about Matt. And Hisam says, I feel like, I'm worried about Matt. And Red's like, well, I don't know. I've been hearing he might not use the veto. I feel like, I don't know. And Hisam says, yeah, you know what? After the whole veto draw, that alliance like ran and talked together. They left Matt out of the conversation again. So it really does feel like he's kind of left out of that. And Red says, listen, I got to tell you, I've been hearing from the other side that they are still dead set on you and Izzy running the game. I've heard it from 2 sources. And they're both Cameron. He didn't say that. I said that. But he said he heard it from both.
But it's true. It is true.
Yes. He said, I've also heard that Blue is planning to take Riley down, that she promised Riley she would pull her down, and that's why Riley chose Blue for the veto draw. Now, this is true information. It's just outdated information. Yes. But it tracks because Riley chose Blue, and Hisam is beside himself. Blue is going to take Riley down? This is just really dumb gameplay. It's really dumb. It's just so dumb. It's the 3 of them versus the whole house. I know what this is coming. This is coming from Blue and Jag. Blue and Jag are looking to save Riley because they love her so much, and it's just dumb. It's really, really dumb. It's emotional gameplay, and I just can't believe how dumb they are. So it's so emotional. Okay. Worst case scenario, Blue wins. But if Riley wins, I can just put Blue on the block. I'm mind blown.
I love just like he has been HOH for not even 48 hours at this point, and he is already at the level of how dare somebody go against the plan that I have set out for this week. And it is so dumb to try and change anything. Oh, someone who's against you won HOH and is targeting your allies. Oh, it's so dumb for you to try and keep your allies in the game. Excuse me? Like, come on. I guess it just goes with all of his integrity.
Yeah. So the conversation turns to Blue, and they feel like Blue is with Jag and Riley, and that's the core. And so maybe Blue needs to be the one to go up and be the one that's targeted if Riley wins the veto or the veto is used on Riley. And so they really come to that conclusion. In the meantime, again, Blue is downstairs had just talked to Jag about not using the veto. But they don't know that. And the fact that Riley chose Blue gives an indication that at least at one point she was definitely willing to use it. And so the target shifts from Matt but now toward Blue. And Hisam reassures Red. He says, Cam is not going home this week. He's doing something great for us this week. And Red's like, yeah, I just hope he feels confident in us, you know? And Hisam is like, no, he does. He's good.
What? How do you know?
He knows people. He has so much integrity. He's able to recognize that integrity in other people, and Cam is just full of it.
Yes, integrity is the word I would use to describe Cameron's personality.
Corey talks to Surie, and she lets him kind of know what the plan seems to be, and how it seems like it's Riley, and it seems like there are various things that could happen. And Corey's like, okay, well, it does still seem like Riley has a good chance of either winning the veto or having the veto used on her. Like, and I feel like I don't want to go up on block if someone comes down. Surie's like, we could probably try and like maybe push for America to be used as a pawn instead of you if we need to, stuff like that. And Hisam talks to Jared and lets him know, like, hey, Jag, Blue, and Riley, they are the diehards over on that side. I'm thinking, I don't know, it's got to be one of them. And Jared says, oh, Matt is a diehard too. He wants to save Riley. And Heisman was like, what? I thought he wasn't.
I mean,
But
he
listen,
did say to your face, Hisam, that he would want to use the veto.
yeah, he says, but here's the thing. Now he's been convinced that Blue is like the originator of saving Riley.
Yes.
And Matt is just, oh, Matt is now also saving Riley? But he's already got it in his head that the core is Matt, Jag, or that is Riley, Jag, and Blue.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes on to explain to Jared, I'm feeling Blue is the target. I'm feeling like we put Blue up on the block if Riley comes down. And Jared says, yes, that's a good idea. And seems to agree. And then he goes and he tells Surie about it. He says, Blue is now the backup target. And Surie's like, what? I thought Matt was the backup target.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess he changed his mind, but I'm happy about it. I'd prefer to see Blue go over Matt. And Jared agrees. He also would like to see Blue go over Matt, which doesn't make sense again, but you know, it's Jared.
It doesn't always make sense. And you know what? I think we all need to accept that it won't always make sense and that will be okay.
Yeah. So as of right now, Matt would likely use the veto on Riley. Blue would probably be the plan to replace Riley on the block if that happened. And then Blue would probably go home over Cameron in that spot. But very subject to change at every layer of that, from Matt using the veto to Blue being the replacement to Blue being the one that goes home. All three of those things could change. If Riley were to win the veto, Blue still likely to be the replacement and target, but could easily turn back to Matt because of how like wishy-washy it's been. If Cameron were to win the veto, the instinct from Hisam is Corey, but there might be some push to make it America or somebody else, maybe even Blue again, who knows, to try and get, or maybe even Matt to try and, force a Riley eviction. And then Blue winning the veto likely means she's not going to use it, which would mean Riley and Cameron, or like really anybody else that wouldn't use it, keeping the nominations the same. Currently, the votes would be for Riley to leave. But again, that is also subject to change because we know that Corey would prefer for Cameron to go. And it seems as though Surie would also prefer that, but has not pushed at all. In fact, when talking with some other people, has often agreed with them that Riley should go, but has, again, given hints that she might prefer the other thing to happen. She, especially with all this traders talk with Cameron, I think there's even more incentive to push for him, but she hasn't yet and might not, especially with Jared telling her that he really thinks Riley should go. So a ton of things still left up in the air, including the winner of the veto itself. Again, the feeds have been down for a very long time. We do not know why. There is no veto competition or any competition that lasts this long. And so it's very strange. I mean, even beyond the veto competition, this is normally like, even if they had just decided like Big Brother Canada to be like, okay, we're just going to keep the feeds down all night. They would have woken up by now. They would have been, they would have woken the house guests up by now, and then put the feeds on theoretically. So it seems like something probably went wrong at this point. You can never know for sure, though.
I think that in general, when we've gotten unexpected feed outages like this after a veto competition and it's gone on for a long time, typically it means someone had to see a doctor. We don't know how like it doesn't tell us how serious it could be. I think that's the number one theory. I think people speculating that it might be pressure cooker are out of their damn minds. First of all, no, it's not pressure cooker. And second of all, if it was going to be pressure cooker, they would use that for an HOH at a point when it would be more dramatic. It's simply not the pressure cooker. I'm sorry. And if you're still holding out hope for an 18th house guest, like, you need help. It's not happening.
Yeah, I heard that they're just forcing them all to binge every Survivor season.
No, they're not allowed to watch it till they're gone.
You know, that they just wanted to put everyone on an even playing field. So yeah, who knows? Who knows when they'll come back? Who knows what has happened at this point? Of course, I'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern to update you on everything that happens today, if anything happens today. If not, then I'll just show up and say that nothing happened today. You know, hopefully at some point we get a veto winner and find out what's going to happen with the veto and with the vote and all of that. There should be a lot of intrigue for the coming days, but you know, as of right now, we are not seeing anything. So that's about what we've got. You can, of course, find me over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong. I will be playing some Goose Goose Duck later today. If you've got nothing better to do because the feeds are down, you can come hang out with us over there. And then, of course, I'll be streaming with, you know, some feeds. And the episode tonight, I will be streaming live with all of you. And then we'll have a recap after that. And then tomorrow, again, the update on all of that good stuff. Kirsten, what do you got going on?
Yes, so currently covering Love Island USA and Temptation Island over on the Hot Dummies on Islands podcast feed, which has been super fun. Both have been really great seasons so far. As well as Mess Magnet. Sasha and I are talking about pop culture, trending topics, celeb gossip, all that good stuff. So definitely check that out there. You can follow me everywhere at Kirsten Said What, including twitch.tv/Kirsten Said What, which is where I will also be playing some Goose Goose Duck at 2 p.m. Eastern today. So that should be really great. And I like that we didn't talk about the traders, because who the F talks about the traders?
Yeah. All right. So that's what we have for you today. Thank you all for joining us, and I will see all of you next time.